Today I have another gig horror story. Now it's been a long time since I've done one of these, but not all of these stories are going to be horror stories necessarily. They're just kind of gig stories, and I do have quite a few. In my hand I have a gig schedule that's from 2013 and 2014, and this is exactly why I keep these things, because I'm looking through this and I'm seeing, oh, I remember this gig, I remembered what happened on that gig, if it was something that was sort of unusual, so to speak, you know. And one of the things that happened, I'm going to have to go all the way back to May of 2013. Friday the 3rd through Saturday the 4th, May of 2013. And that is the weekend, the 24-hour period where me and my friend Nick Kazonis played 3 gigs in 3 different states in 24 hours. Now that's something that I have not done before this, have not done since, and I would be very happy never to do that again. It was very tough. Great weekend though, a lot of work. So anyway, in the end of this, there was sort of a funny incident that happened, but I'll get to that. So Friday the 3rd, we played at a pancake house in Northwest Indiana. That was actually a cool jam session. It was an open jam session. It was supposed to be a jazz jam session, but it turned out to just be very, very open. A lot of people came out to play a bunch of different kinds of music. There was poetry readings, there was art for sale, there was a hula dancer that came up, and a belly dancer who came up and she danced when we played some bossa nova tunes, and that was really interesting. That hasn't happened before or since. The next morning we had to get up really early, load our gear up and whatnot, and go to now I can't remember. It was in Michigan, New Buffalo, Michigan. That's what it was. So we played that wedding, and then we drove back to Northwest Indiana. New Buffalo, I think from Northwest, where we were in Northwest Indiana, I think it was like 90 minutes to 2 hours away. So that was a lot of driving, And then we stopped in Northwest Indiana to get a bite to eat and headed to Chicago. And we were already super tired by this point. And so I'm driving down the highway, I'm pinching myself, I'm, giving myself some of those just to try to stay awake. And so we get to Chicago, and we play the 3rd gig in 24 hours at a pub in the west suburbs of Chicago. And that started at 9. So we played 3 gigs in 3 different states in 24 hours. Now, after the gig, I was wanting an adult beverage, we'll put it that way. And I don't have them very often. I'm not going to say what it was, because for some reason this channel has been flagged for kids, or not flagged, but it's been deemed labeled for kids, even though when I upload a video, I say it's not for kids necessarily, but there's no age restriction either. So if my channel is for kids, I guess it's for kids. So I want to keep it as PG as possible, So I had some, I wanted an adult beverage, and I don't normally do that. It's just, I just don't. But I really felt like I kind of wanted one at this point, at the end of this particular day. And because also, it looks like I had the following Sunday. Yeah, the next day I just had a couple of lessons on that Sunday, the 6th. Okay, so I go into 7-Eleven. It's like 1 in the morning, because the previous gig had ended at 12. And when you play a late gig, or any gig, if it ends at 12, for example, you're not going to leave at 12. You're probably going to leave at like between 1 and 1:30, or at least you should plan like you're going to leave between 1 and 1:30, because you still have to pack up, still have to load your gear into your car, you still need to wait to get paid, and you still need to talk to the venue owner and try to develop more of a relationship with them while you're there, because it helps for future bookings. And so we got done a little after 1 o'clock. We got out of there. And I went to a 7-Eleven to get these beverages, right? Because, what do I know about, what am I going to do? Go to sit at a pub we just played and have a few? I wanted to go home and relax. So I went into 7-Eleven, and what I didn't know going in was that they had stopped selling beverages after a certain point. Like I said, I don't do this very often. I had no idea. And so I go up to this door where the beverages are, and I have, a particular 6-pack of beverages picked out, and I pull the door, and it's coming open a good 3 inches or so. And so I'm thinking it's just stuck. So I give it a big yank and it goes pow, just pop. And I look at the ground and there's some plastic pieces down at the bottom. And the clerk of the 7-Eleven kind of runs up to me, and he starts he's really mad. He starts yelling at me that I broke his door, because I broke his door. But it was really weird because at the bottom there was like a little latch that was keeping it closed, and I'd never seen a lock like that. Normally the lock is by the handle, right? For some reason this particular lock was not. This particular 7-Eleven is also out of business, by the way. It closed. So he comes over and he's yelling and he's like, "You broke my door, you broke my door." And he's like super mad. And he slams the door and just looks at me very angrily. And so I said, "Look, I'm sorry. That was an accident. I thought the door was just stuck, but we don't need to, yell. It's not cool." He just kind of still looked at me. I said, "Can I still get my beverages? Can I still buy it?" And he said, "Yes." So I ended up breaking somebody's door, and oops, what can I do? What can I say? But I did get my beverages, and I did have a good weekend of work as a working musician here in the city and the areas thereabouts. So I went home, enjoyed the beverages, and that was my night. So that's sort of a funny gig story wrapped up into the fact that we played 24 gigs in 3 different states in 24 hours. Now, also, there's more stories from this year for sure that I will be more than happy to share. I have stories from high school, when we were playing in a rock band. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that one. More content, and please like and subscribe and yada, yada, yada. So I'll see you next time.